following program is intended for mature audiences.
I'm going to be honest with you, bro.
I'm going to beat up John Cena.
Oh, it's a great idea. So who the hell do you think you are?
I was going to dress up like Bruce the Barber Beefcake, cutting and strutting, and then I was going to beat up John Cena. Wonderful. I mean, come on. What's more fun than beating up John Cena?
Suplex City, bitch.
Beat up John Cena!
I have come here to chew bubblegum and kick ass. And I'm all out of bubblegum.
And we're all out of bubblegum. Welcome to the Weekly Suplex. I'm your host, Brian Thomas, joined tonight by my co-host, Juice, and my good buddy, Jay. How you doing, Juice? How you doing, Jay?
I'm well. I'm backstage, ready to rock Cleveland's face off.
Fascinating. That's great.
I don't know what that means.
For the four Spinal Tap fans out there that got that.
Good Spinal Tap reference. I only know the 11 one. This one goes to 11.
Yeah.
Oh,
Speaking of what doesn't go to 11, Raw ratings.
Well, that's never gone to 11 for one. But, I get your point. We got some stuff to talk about today as far as our hot items coming off of not only Extreme Rules, but Raw and SmackDown, because there's some serious blah going on right now, and I want to talk about it. So, we're going to talk about that, and then we're going to take a look at the WWE Championship and why it seems the WWE doesn't give a damn about it. Because it never gets the top billing. We'll talk about that. And then, if we have time, we'll play round 2 of our fun game, Over or Not Over. So we'll see if we can get to that. But let's discuss what we had coming up. Now, Juice was live in person at the pay-per-view. Jay and I went on after the pay-per-view live and did a show recapping kind of what we thought about it. But let's get your impressions as a person who was there listening to that awful audience all night long.
Well, I said this after Royal Rumble, and then we got Roadblock, but I mean, I'll say it again. I don't see how WWE can consciously give Pittsburgh another big pay-per-view without knowing it's going to get the reception that they got. One, I had a little interesting story. I printed my tickets out, or I didn't print my tickets out. I bought them through StubHub, and I went to get it scanned, and it said they told me that I had to have them printed, like even though I'd been plenty other places, and they would have scanned them. They were like, all right, just go to Will Call and get them printed. So I went there. They told me that because it wasn't Ticketmaster, they couldn't do it. So then it's Sunday night, and I'm looking for, no place that's open to print anything. I'm far away from my house. I don't know what I'm going to do. We're walking the streets. It's like 7:30. I find a fire station that was open, and they let me print out the tickets. So kudos to that fire station for letting me print out my seats for this show. Now,
that story is more entertaining than the first hour of the show.
Well, luckily we got in right after the Baron Corbin match, so I got in right when they got interesting.
Lucky.
I thought the show was interesting. A lot of good little parts that came from it. Obviously, the Kevin Owens Braun Strowman thing. That was incredible. Kevin Owens is just showing day in, day out, month in, month out, pay-per-view after pay-per-view, that he's reliable. And he coming in, as if Braun needed to be put over any more than he did. Taking a bump off the top of a cage like Mick Foley did in the not same building, same city, 20 years prior. And I thought that was incredible by him for that. I liked a lot of the stuff from the pay-per-view again, but the AJ Styles match I thought was pretty good. I thought going in that anybody could have a good match with AJ Styles, and I did not necessarily saying that Rusev couldn't have a good match with anybody, but AJ Styles brought the best out of him. Hell, Bobby Lashley even got a clean win, which I called. I said that I think it would be a good idea and that it would happen that Bobby Lashley would win the match to set up maybe a triple threat or just make it so it's not just Roman Brock at SummerSlam. We'll get to that in a bit. But then the main event, I like the idea that it was supposed to be this 30-minute Iron Man match. I was looking forward to it. And now here's the problem. The crowd started getting into the counting down, immediately. And I had no problem with them doing it. Even though it was every minute that they were doing it, that wasn't a big deal to me, honestly. I know it took away. It was a big deal, but it wasn't like a huge problem. But once they caught on to that, they took away the clock from the Titantron, and then they took it away from the scoreboard, so we had no idea how many minutes were left for at least 5 or 6 minutes. So that's why it kept going at a worse pace, and they started doing it literally every 5 seconds of the countdown. And then by that point, it was all lost. They put it back on the scoreboard, back in the Titantron. It was all lost at that point. I don't know if we're going to get another big pay-per-view after that, but I had a good time. I think a lot of other people had a good time, whether it came off good or not on TV. That remains to be seen. You guys watched it on pay-per-view. You can tell me how it was. But, I had a good time nevertheless. And I think they're coming back for a SmackDown New Year's Day taping, but it's going to be taped on a Saturday because New Year's is on a Tuesday next year. So we're taping the show on Saturday, December 29th, but it's going to be their New Year's show. It's very interesting.
Well, that'll be fun anyway. I got to say, Jay and I expressed our feelings of the pay-per-view on Sunday night, and you can listen to that episode in our archives if you want to hear what we had to say. But the AJ Styles and Rusev match was by far the best match of the night, and Bobby Lashley, Roman Reigns was very, very entertaining, which surprised, I think, all of us in that fact. But then we come to Monday night, and the show starts off pretty hot, I thought, with the whole triple threat setup, and I thought we were going to have some fun with that. The triple threat matches themselves were really good, but to have the end result be that Bobby Lashley and Roman Reigns have to fight each other again for a shot at Brock Lesnar, I don't want to see any of those guys, either of them, get in there. I was hoping, I think it's inevitable that Roman's going to go into the title match, but
you think?
Yeah. It's gonna be a triple threat. It will, but I was hoping at least we'd have someone else in there. Maybe Seth Rollins versus Roman Reigns for the opportunity would have been fun. But to have it all come down to Bobby Lashley and Roman Reigns again is very disappointing, in my opinion.
Jay, what would you like to say?
When they started doing this, everybody come in the ring. I was just like going like, and you get a match, and you get a match, and you get a match. Kurt turned into Oprah on me, And I'm sitting there and I'm like, okay, so Kurt wanted this multi-man match, so we're gonna get that now. So okay. And when Roman got the pin, I thought, well, I now know how the other one's going to end. And guys, I went to sleep and I just watched it on Hulu the next day because I was like, when I woke up, it was not a surprise. I was like, Bobby Lashley's going to win. And one of two things I think is going to happen this week. They're either going to have some kind of a screwball, Brock Lesnar comes out and destroys them both, so they both wind up in that match. We have a triple threat like that I posited before. Or I'm with Juice. I think Bobby Lashley's going into that match. I think Roman's getting buried.
And this is the other thing that I've been thinking of. It was just like, I think of one thing and it just led to more. If they give this opportunity to Bobby, right? Let's say Bobby goes in. Hell, let's say it's a triple threat, whatever. Let's say Bobby gets the win. He's Universal Champion. I don't think that's going to last long. I think that's an easy segue to get the belt on Braun.
Mm-hmm.
Wouldn't that suck if all this is, let's get it on Bobby, a different guy. We finally get it on Braun. But who's going to take it from Braun? Roman Reigns. I think it's still somehow, some way set up that way. They don't want to hurt Brock's chances, and they're just going to ship him off to the UFC to do his little thing, and they won't have him lose to Roman. So then when Brock eventually comes back, he'll still have another shot at the title, and we'll never lose to Roman, and Roman can show off the title.
I also want to throw out my swerveness idea. that Brock Lesnar beats, or that they let Brock Lesnar hang on to it, and that Vince really is into, no, I want my guy to roll into the UFC wearing that friggin' belt. Like, I could see that happening in a twisted world. Like,
because Cormier wants to win the title. Cormier wants to win the title. He's like, hell, Roman's not going to win it. I'll take it.
Exactly, right? That would be funny, right? Like, to do the cross sprint. But, okay, I'm going to give credit where credit's due. One of the guys on a podcast called Over Under Fair that I listen to from Sports Radio Detroit made an offhand joke, and then I twisted it into they should just rename the Universal title the non-television title, because that's pretty much what it is, and go with it.
Yeah.
Because, really, at this point...
It might not even be the Universal title. Cormier gets his hands on it. It's just going to be the Ultimate title.
No.
Look, I mean,
the reason this title exists is because Vince is sitting around going like, we don't have a world title. We don't have a WWE title. We have a Universal title.
And we'll get to the WWE title and why that's not the focal point of shows. And I think there's a decent reason behind it. And I do think it will have more prestige once we get to the Fox deal next year. But again, we'll talk about that later. But, it's just tough times. I just want to see a guy that's going to be on the damn show every week have the title. Because
it ain't going to happen.
I know, but you gave the Intercontinental title to some quality guys, and it's been elevated. But then, look, you have a main event show, crowd still craps on it. So, I don't know.
Well, I think that crowd was ready to that crowd had some good chili, was just ready to go.
And the worst part is, man, they made that match last because they didn't want Roman to go last. And they had Bobby Lashley win anyway, and it didn't even matter. The crowd still was up in arms about it. And now I was not one of those ones that was, counting down, so you can just stop thinking about that. But
you were taking good photos from your seats. Those were great on your Twitter feed.
I as soon as I saw Braun going up top, I was like, well, they're not coming down a normal way. It's all over.
Now that said, to get back to the two triple threat matches, I thought that everybody got a chance to look good. I mean, Finn, McIntyre, and Roman put on a great show. Bobby and Seth, and I'm blanking now who was the sixth man in that end. Elias, yes, put on a fantastic. Poor Elias. So once again, he's just forgotten.
Elias doesn't need it though. He doesn't.
And that's the thing. Like, that's the thing is, like, I'm sitting there looking, like, just sort of logically deducing from a booking standpoint, like, that guy doesn't need it. That guy's had it, doesn't need it. That guy's gonna get it because the crowd hates it and they're gonna shove it down. That guy doesn't need it. Like, you can sort of figure it out if you knew nothing about anything except just television show. You can go like, that guy doesn't need it. That guy. So the big, inverted V man and the security guard with long hair. Those are the two guys we're going to put in the finals. Yes, that's it. We got.
Here's the thing, guys. They're going to have Roman win this belt because they've had him probably at SummerSlam.
Because he did win it already. He won it at Mania 32.
It doesn't matter. Nobody cares about that.
I'm saying
he didn't win this belt. He didn't win this belt. He won the WWE title, which we obviously know doesn't matter.
It did then, though. It was the only title then. Now that there's two, they're trying to force this one.
Correct. They're trying to force this, and he's going to win it, whether we like it or not. The question then becomes, is Braun going to take it right away, or are we going to have to deal with Roman Reigns as champion? Vince wants him to get that title, and he will force it down our throats in some way or fashion.
But do we know? I mean, we don't know. But would you guys guess that Vince just wants it on Roman for the sake of the moment? Do you think he wants to hold it for a long time? Like, what do you think his ultimate...
I think his ultimate is he wants Roman to be the champ and Roman to be the face of the company, but the crowd shits on that, right?
But I think he could be the face of the company and not have the championship. I think he
agree.
Have the championship
I agree. And I think he would be better served not having the title.
Let me get in on that.
Well, right, there you go. He hasn't had it. So
how about the face of the company stuff? They go to the ESPYs this week, and it's Stephanie McMahon and who? Charlotte and Roman Reigns. Now, Charlotte did the body issue, so I know we got to have her on ESPY. You had two people not holding belts. Now, they have in the past, whatever. But those are, right now, I would posit to you guys, those are the faces of WWE. They may not be the champions, but those are the faces.
They also had Mickie James and Lana there as well.
Okay, yeah, but nobody. No, you know what? I didn't see a single picture of that. I had no idea until you just said that.
That's because you don't follow them on the face, and that's fine.
No.
They're there.
But I do follow ESPN on Twitter, and that's all I saw was Charlotte, Stephanie, and Roman with his hair tacked up.
Well,
and I think like Roman's daughter or something like that, which was cool. But those two, they already see them as the face, and I think they floated the idea for a long time that the face of the company doesn't have to have the title on their waist, and I think I don't know that they even care who has it anymore. I'm putting that out. That I think they have long since stopped caring who has the belt.
That's possible, but I still think that Roman would be better served if he wasn't in the title picture all the time. And they could make him the face of the company all they want, and fans would probably be more into him if he wasn't chasing the belt every single damn month. Right? I mean, that's what people are pissed off. It's always Roman. We how many times do we have to see Roman Reigns, Brock Lesnar?
I mean, I feel like this about Alabama getting in the playoffs every year, but it's not going to stop it from happening. I mean, it's just part
good
of
point.
And that's a sport where they're not fixing it, to our knowledge.
So, so you say, have you met Southeastern Conference referees? Jeez.
I said to our knowledge.
Oh, we know.
I delve
we know.
far away. I'm a Big Ten fan. I don't go into that SEC stuff. You guys are great.
You're from Pittsburgh, and you're a Big Ten fan?
Yeah, Penn State, baby.
Wow.
Penn State.
Presto must be pissed.
That's a huge Pitt fan, and we've been Penn State versus Pitt forever, and it's great that the last 2 years we had them face each other, but they're only going to do it 2 more times, and Penn State has not signed on to do anymore because
interesting.
I have got to get you two on the Gridiron Breakdown just for the segment of that game, and Alan and I will just let you go.
Hey, it's gonna be it's in the prime time slot too. It's gonna be on ABC that game. I think it's second week.
Exactly. Just go ahead and consider yourself booked.
I'm booked. I'm in.
But anyway, back to where we were.
Let's move on. Let's move on. Let's move on to the other amazingly ridiculous story that came out of Raw, and that's the only other one. The only one that matters. Ronda freaking Rousey shows up. She's suspended for 1 more week from Raw. She not only shows up, but comes out the back and beats the holy hell out of Mickie James and Alexa Bliss again. And what happens? She gets another week added onto her suspension, which, I don't know, does that mean she's suspended for 2 more weeks? I don't know. They're probably not going to follow that up. And then she gets a freaking title shot. How does that make sense?
Man, she gets title shots on the red carpet. It doesn't matter.
I don't get it.
She's Ronda Rousey.
Yeah, I mean, the whole segment was like, Ronda, you got to stop breaking the rules because you keep breaking the rules. Here's $1 million.
Yeah, right?
It's like the dumbest thing I've ever. I was sitting, and the look on her face was like, "This is stupid."
Oh, what? Really?
And
I'll just come out next week and see what happens. Maybe next week I'll get Brock Lesnar.
Is sitting there. Yeah. Even Kurt Angle is sitting there going like, "I cannot believe I'm actually saying this crap." So, but it's true. It's true. And so there we go. I mean, yeah, it was one of the goofiest things I've ever seen. You talk about somebody that's thrust into the title scene. Ronda Rousey walked into the title scene, man. That's all she's ever been.
I don't have a problem with her being in the title scene.
Well,
it's the fact that she breaks the rules and gets a title shot. It makes no sense. Now, there's got to have Natty coming out here and costing it to her the match or something. We've got to have that turn at some point. Because you can't give her every title shot from here on out.
That's true.
Far be it from me to be the SJW of the Weekly Suplex, but I'm just going to wear that hat for a minute here. Why is it the guys can beat the hell out of each other with chairs and sticks and throw each other through cages and porta potties and nearly murder each other with ambulances, but Ronda Rousey and Bayley and Sasha have to go to counseling or get put in timeout when they do something wrong? What is up with that?
They try to make. I mean, it's odd, you know. Here, the women can have a Royal Rumble. The women can have a ladder match. The women can have a Elimination Chamber. Well, the women can have a Team Hell No storyline, too, instead of having a real Extreme Rules match. So I don't know what they're deciding with all of it. It's odd. And then again, Ronda gets thrown into the thing. And it's interesting how Becky Lynch, out of all these women, seems to have more promise going forward than any of the 4 horsemen that have been up here so far.
Which is amazing because she nearly kills everybody she works with. So I mean, like literally, like she is Bocce Lynch. That is her name.
Hey.
So, I mean,
the crowd loves her.
But
she's got to
between
take out
her and Nia, they are sending people literally to the hospital. So, I mean, this is not what is normal. But again, the WWE is in bizarro land right now with their booking.
Oh,
They just are. And I like Becky. I think she's fun. But if you're going to try to tell me she can outwork some of those people no, I'm sorry.
And I think we can probably transition to this, even though we don't really know for sure, but it's definitely speculated. There is an announcement coming forth this Monday with Stephanie McMahon, of course. So it's got to be all signs pointing to a possible all-women's pay-per-view coming up in September.
Interesting.
It's all speculation. Now, one of my friends coined this. I don't know if he coined it. I don't know if he got it from some forum or whatnot, but he said once it's SummerSlam, once SummerSlam ends until Royal Rumble, he calls it bullshit season, BS season. Nothing matters. Nothing of importance really happens until you get to Royal Rumble. And that's the perfect time to get these types of things going. They had the women main event Hell in a Cell in October. Another, again, more in this time frame of just in between two giant shows before WrestleMania. And I think September is a perfect time. Post SummerSlam, you'd have Ronda winning the championship. So then her first big defense.
Ideal.
First big defense in the main event of a show coming in September. I think it's going to happen. Hey, you might not think it's ideal, but the dollar signs are there in WWE's eyes. And Stephanie's going to be there saying, it was all because of me.
I can totally see that. That is very, very interesting.
I can too. It's fascinating to me, but I'm curious. I'd like to see that. I think that'd be great.
Mm-hmm.
I do too, and there's also been rumblings that it could be a women's tag title introduced, which
I've heard that before. But do you really?
I wouldn't have been excited before, but they have a lot of women's talent now. Like a lot more than I think we really think about.
Yeah, the question with that is, though, do you make two of them and have one on each show? Because that makes no sense. Yeah, and then why does one show get it and not the other one?
I don't think it does. I don't think it does single show. They're doing dual brand pay-per-views now. I think they could say, hey, these are for both brands. Whoever wants them, like there'll be some sort of tournament, of course, and whatever show it goes on, and they get defended at every pay-per-view.
Can I ask this though? I mean, and I get it, because they've got so many workers, so you can get a bunch of the ring at the same time. But why not do the mid card belt, like the women's intercontinental championship or something like that?
Because I think that puts another girl or women's wrestler ahead of the ones that just aren't champions. I think it's more interesting.
And the roster isn't as big as the men's either.
Yeah, I think it's better if they have just one champion for each brand singles, and then that tag championship will be even worth more because there's only one of those. So that's my thing.
I buy it. Yeah, I'm biting. That makes sense. Yeah. So can I jump ahead just for a second here though? Because Brian, you had it on the notes or whatever, but I'm going to talk about it. The guy that came out looking like gold after this week's shows, Andrade Cien Almas. He got to put on a show with AJ Styles. That's exactly what that – look, and I hate to be the old NWA guy, but I saw Ric Flair do this to guys all the time on, like, Saturday night and stuff like that. Like, he would wrestle Mike Rotunda, and you're like, there's no way Mike Rotunda is going to be the champion. Like, even as a kid, I was like, no way. But they would do, like, 30 minutes. It would look awesome, and it was all just to show how good Rotunda was. Yeah. So AJ is in that mode where everybody he works with looks great, except with the stupid Shinsuke stuff they did. But when they had two good matches, You put in a guy that, look, at this point hasn't done anything. He's been doing dark matches and wrestling Sin Cara. You finally give him, the shot or whatever. And no, he's not going to win it, but you can let him look good doing it. And I thought it was great.
Well, and it shows off what a great worker he is, and I think that's what they're trying to get over, is that, we've been putting him in the ring with some of these jobber types and whatever, and then he got a win over Sin Cara, which, for the feud was fine, but it doesn't really mean a whole lot. Put him in there with AJ Styles, and he takes him to the limit. That makes him look even stronger, and now they can push him a little faster. So I think that was a brilliant move on their part, and it was a great match.
This is the best match of the week. Yeah,
I think it was definitely the best match of the night. And again, it sucks. I guess should we transition to the WWE title and why it's not the main focus of the shows? Let's
talk about that, and then I want to circle around to what the deal with Jeff Hardy was too. But let's talk about that because here's the thing. for the first time since 1992, when Bret Hart defended his Intercontinental Championship against British Bulldog Davey Boy Smith, the Intercontinental Championship headlined a pay-per-view. As you said, Juice, it was not the planned main event. In fact, I believe it was the planned opener of the pay-per-view, and they moved it to the end because they didn't want the crowd leaving when Roman Reigns came out again, because they were going to go with that. So instead they got a nice countdown and the crowd crapping on what should have been a really good match. But it was defended, and AJ Styles' match was third from last on the show. AJ Styles is your WWE Champion. In my opinion, whether the Dolph Ziggler and Seth Rollins match was going to be better or not, the title should have a main event of the show, especially when the Universal title is nowhere to be seen on the show. That's your top belt on this show. Why did that not get the bill? And it seems like AJ, I don't remember the last time AJ headlined a pay-per-view with his title, whether Brock was there or not. It seems ridiculous that they don't let that title be the top belt.
I will agree to a degree, with you, but I think it's just the state of where we're at today in wrestling. WWE title, it may have the lineage, it may have the prestige, but it may not just be viewed as highly as it once was, and because it's on SmackDown, I think that hurts it. I think if this is on Raw and they have a title on SmackDown that's not being as defended, I think it's a whole different ballgame. I think that they would have, like, if the WWE title would be main eventing, I think it's a whole different thing. And this pay-per-view specifically, I don't think it was a bad thing to have the Intercontinental title main evented at all, because I think those guys were definitely two that could pull off a great match. And regardless, I guess the crowd ruined it for that purpose, but I think they were definitely deserved of having that spot.
And
be that as
I'm not disagreeing with you on that at all. I don't disagree that they deserve to have that slot. However, if your WWE Championship is on the same card, that should be your top match. I mean, that's the one everybody wants to win, right?
Well,
they don't want to have the Intercontinental title. They want the WWE title.
I mean, I know, but again, in the state of where we're at, and I said this earlier, once SmackDown becomes that big live flagship on network TV show where WWE will have that title, the WWE title, as a prominent thing, unless they do some sort of switch, and maybe the Universal title would get on there, although the Universal title is a red strap, so I don't know why it wouldn't just stay on Raw. I think then you might see it go in a better direction of being, more higher profile. Now, I don't know if it has anything to do with AJ Styles being the champion or not, because, I mean, he's been given the ball twice now. He's a two-time WWE champion since coming in. He's definitely proven that he can hold the title and make these appearances, and at the age that he's at, can still do all these things. He can be an ambassador, but he doesn't need to be the big main draw. So I think it's almost as if you separate the Universal and the WWE title. The WWE title right now, it's on SmackDown. It's like the workhorse belt. It's a guy that's going to be there every week. He's going to do that. And I don't think it's too big of an issue. Again, wait another year and talk to me whenever Fox is, and Joe Buck is talking about AJ Styles defending the WWE title. We'll see which title is more highly coveted.
Let me say that what you just said is what kind of steals what I was going to go with on this. I look at this now that the WWE title is what the Intercontinental title was in the late 80s and early 90s before the Attitude Era. It's kind of where that is, and the Universal title is what the World title was. It's the way they're treating it. It's not exactly the same situation, but it is the way they're treating it. They're putting that they put that WWE title on the workhorse and let that person work. It just so happens that they've got another way to do the Intercontinental title also gets used that way.
But we're
that's
only
the interesting thing.
We're only saying this because AJ Styles is a champ and he's a workhorse, right? Before AJ Styles was Jinder Mahal. Do you call him a workhorse? I wouldn't call him. Before that was Bray Wyatt. I wouldn't call him a workhorse.
Okay, my definition of workhorse isn't the best performer in the ring. It's the guy who's going to defend that title more often than not. And is Universal title being defended at all? No.
Yeah,
so the guy who's working more is the WWE champion, whether they're Jinder Mahal, AJ Styles, or whoever.
Say what you will about Jinder.
That's the workhorse.
He defended that title a lot. All right. Say what you will about Bray. Defended that title a lot.
Yep.
They are defending the title a lot. They made a decision when they created those two belts that WWE title was going to be the one that got put on the line a lot, and the Universal title was going to be the extra special main attraction. The problem is they made it so darn extra special nobody cares anymore, and they
made it so
it.
special that they take it to the UFC. So
right?
The
exactly.
UFC guys want it.
Yeah, exactly.
So now UFC guys want it.
Now it's so special that nobody cares. But they've made it so exclusive that it's like, I mean, I remember when the McRib came out every 3 years. Now it's every 3 months. It's not that big a deal anymore.
It's not as special. So you're right.
So they and I get the idea of that. I think they've blundered it because it's not that he hasn't defended it so much. I want to make that clear because you brought it up a couple weeks ago, Brian. Hulk Hogan did defend the title all the time.
That was different time.
But
he was on TV. Yeah, he was on TV.
And that's the thing about Lesnar. Lesnar could give two rats about having the belt. He wants his money. And he makes no bones about that. The problem is he's not around. And if all you do is talk about the chase of the guy who's not there, you forget the guy who's not there. And it becomes like a, so what?
I think because the Universal title is not being defended as much, they're trying to give the WWE title more eyes on it.
Yeah.
And even so, they don't have to have, the name itself makes it a big title. Everybody at this point knows AJ Styles is a big deal, and I don't think it has to become the main event for it to be a big deal. So why not give it to the other guys, or the spot to the other guys? You know AJ Styles is going to have a great match. You know it's going to be a quality show for the WWE title. They're not going to worry about their big title that has all this lineage going in a match that people won't care about. Because now look, the main event was the Intercontinental title. Did the fans care? No. And more fans were more interested. I was there for that WWE title match, it seemed. So I think workhorse, in whatever definition you want to put on it, is to that WWE title as of now. And until they get the Universal title on Raw every week, I don't know how you can say otherwise. So that Fox deal could help whoever's WWE champion if they continue with that title on SmackDown. I don't see them switching. Do you guys see that happening?
No, I don't think they're switching it.
No, they won't switch it. But
like I said, the strap is a big deal. I don't know why they put a red strap on a SmackDown title.
You said something important there. You said that the Intercontinental title was the main event and the crowd didn't care. They cared more about the AJ Styles Rusev match. So wouldn't that have made sense to be the main event then?
They wouldn't have. I don't know.
I think
it would have made more sense, but they wouldn't have known that. They
don't need to know which match is going to be last. But do you think because the AJ Styles and Rusev match was so early that they didn't give a crap what happened afterwards? And if the situation was reversed, would they have paid more attention to the match if AJ Styles and Rusev went last? Because we all know Rusev's huge over, right? And AJ Styles is very over. So I think if they would have put the WWE Championship in the main event slot, they probably wouldn't have been doing stupid stuff in the audience.
Let me lay this out.
And before you say that, Jay, I think all of this and the Intercontinental title, all that stuff happened because there was a weird element to it, a.k.a. the clock. And if it's anything that the crowd can get involved in, hey, Pittsburgh ruined the 2014 Royal Rumble whenever they started booing Rey Mysterio when it wasn't Daniel Bryan. So clocks
if it wasn't a clock, it would have been a beach ball, or something else.
I don't think that's what I'm saying. I don't think the Intercontinental title match main events if it's not the Iron Man match. I think the Iron Man match was the reason they put it there.
Don't disagree there.
There's no way they could have been like, well, the crowd's obviously going to find a way to mess this up, so why not put it last? We'll give them the opportunity. So.
But let's look at their thinking there. They were going to put flipping Roman Reigns and Bobby Lashley as the main event. That was the idea going into the show. That just shows that either way, they weren't going to put the WWE Championship in the main event slot. It was never going to be there.
I don't think they, because I don't know. I don't think they care as much to have that as the main event because it's not the main draw. So they're going to try to give that opportunity to other guys. I don't think they think of it less because again, it's a WWE title. They're never going to think of it as a lesser title in the lineage idea. If it's on SmackDown, then technically they'll be like, well, it's not the big one, but no, I don't know.
I don't know. That doesn't make any sense when you have the title named after your flippin' brand, not the big one.
Brian, you said something a second ago that hit me, and I hadn't thought about it like this. But Rusev is way over. AJ is way over. Remember we were talking about earlier the triple threat? Like, that guy doesn't need the belt. That guy doesn't need it. They're over. Those guys can have a killer match, and they had one, and they don't have to be the main event.
No, but again, Hulk Hogan was way over. He's the main event because he's way over.
I don't think you can. That's so long. It was so different then, though.
Yeah,
he was over
I
because
agree.
he was like the only big over. Like, he was the WWE at that point. Like, there was other big guys, big characters, but you think WWE from '85 to 92, it's Hulk Hogan for the most part.
Yeah. I think it's what I'm trying to say is, if I'm thinking of this from the WWE's logic point, it's like, look, these guys are going to have a killer match. We know that. The crowd's going to love it. Let's get they don't have to be in the main slot, and the Iron Man match is the main slot. Let's stick it in the main slot. Should be mentioned, by the way, guys, Vince wasn't even at the show. Paul Levesque was running that from the back. All right.
Hell, Hogan was at the show, not even Vince.
Yeah, right. So if like all this we're fussing about, like, I love Trips and what he's doing with NXT, but I don't know, maybe this wasn't the best booked show.
Oh, I think because Vince wasn't there is the reason that Bobby Lashley and Roman Reigns didn't main event.
Well, that's exactly right. I agree with that.
Trips has a little more common sense to not put that on.
He would have probably been like, because I'm going to tell you one thing: is for Roman Reigns does not give a damn where you put him on the show. He's like, I get to be on TV, down, whatever. So,
Roman's a great sport, man. I mean, for all the flack he gets, he's an excellent worker, and he's a good sport.
That's why he gets compared to being like the new Cena, because Cena was a good sport. Kurt Angle is a good sport about all of it. That's why they did what they did. So, I mean, Angle just steers right into the "you suck" chant. I mean, no problem at all.
Well, he owns it now.
He's embraced it now, and I think eventually, because Cena does too. Cena starts singing along, John Cena sucks. I think when we get to this point where it's not God, Roman's forced down everybody's throat, I think Roman will figure out, hey, I'm just going to roll with this, and it'll be a lot better until, the next Roman Reigns, John Cena guy comes along, and I feel bad for that guy.
The best thing Roman Reigns ever did with his, like, he talks way too much to the marks in the crowd that are yelling at him. He just seems to go. The best thing he ever did was after he beat The Undertaker was walk in the ring, take it for 5 minutes and go, this is my yard now, drop the mic, walk out. That was the smartest.
That was a great crowd.
Promo of the year.
That is the end. That is the end sound on our show every week because it's so good.
Yes.
Just quickly, let's circle back before we start our game. Let's circle back here. Jeff Hardy goes out on the Extreme Rules pay-per-view, gets nut-shotted by Shinsuke Nakamura, and then he gets Kinshasa'd. In 3 seconds, he loses that match. Immediately demands a rematch on SmackDown, gets granted said rematch on SmackDown, and then Shinsuke and Hardy start having a actual match. What was the point? They weren't running long, folks. It's not like they were running out of time and had to.
I can tell you the point. The surprise return of Randy Orton. That was a surprise that Paul and Billy Kidman held from everybody.
Was it needed?
Till right before it happened. No. You got to think about it the way Triple H thinks. Randy Orton is a big deal because it was part of his running circle back in the day. All right, and so bringing Randy was the surprise. Let's screw with everybody. That's what that was all about.
And that's fine, but did that need to be such a quick match to do that part? Couldn't that still have happened after a decent 5-6 minute match?
I don't know if Jeff Hardy could have gone that decent 5-6 minute match because he's even said that he hasn't been doing the Swanton
because he's hurt.
For his back. Yeah, so.
But then he goes out on SmackDown and has they wrestled for a good 6, 7, 8 minutes there before Randy Orton came down and cost him. It's not like he can't.
They were expecting it now, though, because of the storyline. I think having a surprise have it happen at the pay-per-view was a little bit different.
It's all about the
just
surprise.
Seemed odd.
It is odd.
Seemed odd. No, I was like, what the hell is happening here?
Anytime Randy Orton's weird self gets involved in anything, it's odd. Okay, let's just put it out there. That's a known fact.
I just think Brian hates Randy Orton ever since he won the Royal Rumble in 2009. And when I said his name, he kicked me off.
Dude, it's been long before that.
I know. That was
he hates Randy Orton. But I'm telling you, Paul Levesque loves Randy Orton. and that's why Randy
Well, of
still has
course
a
he
job,
does. They're
and that's
they're
why
buddies.
he says this stuff.
No, he's
So,
still got a
yes.
job because he's a third generation superstar, and the WWE loves that part, and they love the kid. I mean, it's not like he's not talented. He's just boring to me. That's all.
He's also a huge jerk, but that's another
I'm sure
day.
there's a lot of those, which makes the Hogan thing more funny to me. But anyway, let's get into our game because we've got about 3 minutes or so. So I'm only going to throw a couple names at you here as we go into our over or not over match. I'm going to give you a name, and you tell me, are they over with the WWE audience or not quite?
Hey, Brian, did you just say 3 minutes?
Yeah, we got about 3 minutes. But I don't have the 3-minute warning music. I can't.
Anyway,
That's funny though. The first name I'm going to throw out there is Mojo Rawley. He has become a heel. Is he over?
No.
Move on.
Man, Rob Gronkowski, you could give Mojo Rawley a full year in the NFL and have him be the MVP of the league, and he can come back to WWE. He won't be over. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
and what do you think the reason is? Is he bad in the ring, or is he just got a real crap gimmick?
Yeah, it's just generic. I don't find it interesting at all. I liked him with Zack Ryder's The Hype Bros because it was just two random styles, and
that drove me nuts.
But Zack Ryder wasn't doing anything. He gets hurt all the time. It's something for him to do. Now as a lone guy, there's just nothing there. I'm sorry, and I don't see him as a heel either. What the hell is he doing if he's being a heel ever?
He's a heel now.
He reminds me of the kind of match they would have thrown on Nitro in between like two good luchador matches, a Dean Malenko match, and whatever the main event in.
So you're saying he's the cat,
Mojo Rawley,
or Big Vito? One of those.
Mojo Rawley would have lost to Wrath, Mortis, or Glacier back in the day.
Yes, thank you. Exactly.
So he's Roadblock.
Yeah, Canyon and Test would have attempted different moves they were working on it. That's what.
Yeah, but Mojo's not better than Canyon. Let's just be honest.
No, it's not.
Nobody's better than Canyon.
That's true.
Right. I am gradually starting to like his heel attitude. I'm not sure if I'll get over the character though. We'll see. As long as they don't make him a hype moron. That just blew my mind. But up next, NXT superstar EC3. Is he getting over?
Oh hell
yeah! Yeah! And he's gonna have a featured spot in Brooklyn against Velveteen Dream.
Hey, don't tell spoilers. Jay doesn't look at the spoilers.
Jay, it may or may not happen that he may or may not face Velveteen Dream at Brooklyn. No. Maybe or maybe not. Confirmed or not.
What is this NXT Brooklyn you speak of?
Just like the biggest
I do stay spoiler free on my NXT. The fact that you just told me that, I'm like super excited to watch that.
That's what I'm saying. I almost like the spoilers for NXT because that makes me want to watch it even more because they're.
I'm with you, Juice. I'm the same way. I didn't read the spoilers for NXT, but I did read what the card is for TakeOver, and now I'm pumped to see how they build it up because holy crap, it's going to be great.
Every year in Brooklyn, they go all out. It's their WrestleMania, and I'm sure it'll be better than SummerSlam.
Yeah, I love EC3. I liked him in Impact Wrestling. I thought he was a great character. I like the fact that they allowed him to bring that same character back to WWE and use it in NXT. The Top 1% gimmick is great. They put a video out on their social media the other day with him and I can't think of the guy's name now, but it was hilarious. I highly recommend going out and looking at WWE's social media posts and trying to find that video because his character is fantastic. So I'm agreeing EC3 is over. And I think that's all we're going to be able to get to because we are almost out of time. It's time to go,
Tape machines
folks.
are rolling.
They aren't, but that's okay. Have a great night. We'll see you next week. For Juice and Jay, I'm Brian. We're on the social medias. We'll see you next week.
It is exhausting being so talented.
I'm not ready for you!
You are not even worth my time.